Welcome to the Trusted Visions Placement and Consulting Podcast. Today, we are going to cover an important topic that I'm sure a lot of advisors have: the truths and mistruths of joining an OSJ. As we all know, financial advisors have many options when making a broker-dealer change. They can decide to go direct with a broker-dealer and report directly to them and their home office supervision, or they can join an OSJ. Now, many advisors have questions and preconceived notions about joining an OSJ and what that means. Today, I have invited Arthur Cooper, Managing Director of Cooper McManus, who oversees 40 plus advisors nationwide, over $1 billion in assets, and has been an OSJ for many decades, to answer many key questions and even address the preconceived notions that many advisors have when it comes to making a broker-dealer change and joining an existing OSJ. Arthur, welcome to the Trusted Visions podcast. Thank you for taking the time to be on here to answer some key questions that many advisors may have.
Thanks, Jeremy. Glad to be here.
So let's start, Arthur, with the first question. As you know, there are a lot of perceptions regarding an advisor, regardless of production, about joining an OSJ versus being a direct reporter. Can you speak to the feedback of your reps and what your thoughts are to why an advisor would join an OSJ such as Cooper McManus versus going direct to the broker-dealer?
Well, depending upon the type of advisor, the reasons would be different. For example, if an advisor was coming from a captive or a wirehouse type environment, we find that, jumping into the world of independence, they don't know what they don't know. And we find that there's a lot of guidance we could provide, whether it be just business management, how to set up your office, what's the best strategy to transition your book of business without violating any employment contracts or covenants that you may have in place. And do a lot of hand holding in the form of just educating what the options are, because typically when you make that move, you go from a handful of options for your clients to literally, dozens or hundreds of options that you can offer your clients. And sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. So we help kind of clarify those things for the advisor. Other advisors that might already be at another firm established with an independent firm make the move for various reasons. I always joke around to say the main reason people make a move is when the pain of their current situation is greater than the pain of change. Because anytime you make that change, it is challenging and it's taxing and it's time consuming, and nobody wants to ever put themselves through that. And so they're coming for sometimes enhanced payouts, for access to certain product lines or alternate clearing options that maybe they don't have. From that standpoint, our role would be in some cases helping with case analysis, case design, to provide supervision services. But a big component there are our role is kind of an advocate for the advisor, dealing with the broker-dealer. Because as we all know, sometimes the broker-dealer can be a challenge, can be frustrating. And, given our size, we have the ability to get things, through the red tape much more quickly, much more efficiently than a typical advisor would.
Yeah, and one follow-up question to that, because we at Trusted Visions talk a lot about this, and I'm sure you do as well, but part of the advantage, and one of the advantages of joining an existing OSJ or enterprise, is having that added layer of support. I'm not saying that you're just a number as a single advisor with a broker-dealer, but having that added layer of support being part of a larger enterprise such as yours. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of the reality of that versus the perception of it?
Well, the reality of it is it's a way to offer a little bit more community with the advisor, because a lot of times advisors are kind of out on an island by themselves, and it gets a little bit lonely, and you don't necessarily get exposed to the latest and the greatest, or cutting edge ideas and strategies. So it's an opportunity for advisors to get to know other advisors and learn what are they doing that's working, what are they doing that's not working. And, through those communications, everybody tends to get better. So you can operate independently and build your business the way that you want to build it, the way that you feel is most appropriate, but also you have access to other advisors, on a semi-regular basis in order to kind of network and talk with. And it's a little bit more intimate than a typical broker-dealer conference, where you go and you have a slate of speakers and you're like in one room to the next room to the next room. It's more of where you actually can spend time talking and getting to know other people.
Thank you for that. And the next question, a big perception that a lot of advisors have when we speak to them daily and throughout my career is if I join an existing OSJ, that means I'm making as an advisor substantially less because there's another piece of the pie, from an override perspective that's going to the OSJ. What would you say to that perception? Because
Well,
I know there's not really truth behind that because they get the advantage of taking advantage of your, as a large enterprise, pricing and payouts.
yeah, so given our size and stature, we are able to negotiate better pricing, better payouts than a one-off advisor may be able to do. So in a lot of cases, we can offer advisors equal or higher payouts than if they were to go direct to a broker dealer, based on production levels. And other times is, let's say you are, a large producer, and if you go direct, you might have X amount, and then to go through the branch, it might be 2%, 3% less. And, one of the key things to look at an OSJ is they're a service provider. Are they providing value from compliance services, trade assistance if necessary, other type services that we can provide. Is you look at what the overall cost of that override is compared to the cost of a staff person in order to do that. And even if you're $1 million producer, you'll find that due to the high level, the competence of the staff that could support you, that's one less person you have to employ. So it pays for itself.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, because you and I have known each other for a long time, Arthur, and you guys do, I believe, something unique than most enterprises or OSJs out there, in that you guys give advisors an added layer of protection. And what I mean by that is, if the broker dealer is coming in to audit one of your advisors, or a regulator is coming in to audit one of their advisors, back to your point of being off on an island, you have staff and subject matter experts that go out to that advisor's office to go through the audit with them. Can you speak around your rationale behind why you do that?
Well, the primary reason is to make sure that the advisor is protected from a compliance or regulatory standpoint. And then from the selfish, self-serving side of things is, as long as if the advisor has a clean book of business and is doing things compliantly, then that means that my office is doing things compliantly without issues. So, but also it can be stressful when you have an auditor in the office, and we make sure that we provide support during those audits, whether we have one of our compliance professionals in the office with you side by side with the audit, or this year through via Zoom, and other things along those lines. But we make sure that the advisor is prepared. Before the audit happens, we make sure that they have everything in order so they can get through the audit quickly, efficiently, and ideally with no deficiencies.
Perfect. Thank you for that follow-up question. And next question, you've been an OSJ and a recruiting OSJ for a long time. What would you say some of the truths and mistruths you've heard about an advisor joining an OSJ, and how would you what would you say about those truths and mistruths?
Well, I guess the common ones would be, uh, you kind of lose your independence, that you're subject to the whims of your OSJ, and you might not be able to self-brand, you might not be able to run your business the way that you want to. And there might be some truth to that with some OSJs, but with Cooper McManus, one of the things that I think is important is, you know, is the understanding that your clients are clients because of you, not because of the firm you affiliate with. And your broker dealer is a service provider. Your OSJ is a service provider, and those are things that you want to make sure that are providing value. So little things like business cards. Some advisors want to use the broker dealer name. Some advisors want to use the Cooper McManus name. And either way is okay, but what I really encourage my advisors to do is create their own branding, their own imaging, so that they have, Jeremy Financial Services and Cooper McManus and the broker dealer are nothing but disclosures on the back. And, it creates that overall independence with the branding, with the client recognition, but also with the support of a large branch and then a national broker dealer to boot.
Perfect. And so, good segue into the next question. And probably one of the most preconceived perceptions out there in the industry is if I go out and join an OSJ like Cooper McManus, I can't brand as myself. I don't own my book of business. Should I decide to leave Cooper McManus at some point in time and go to another broker dealer, they're going to try and go after my clients. How would you address that perception?
Well, the perception is there, and depending upon where the advisor is coming from, sometimes it's hard for them to actually, realize and believe that their clients are their clients. We're not in the business of retaining advisors' clients if they switch firms. The broker dealer is not in the business of retaining those clients if they switch firms. In fact, on both cases, we want you to move the clients with you wherever you go. For the main reason is we, aren't going to sit there and service those clients, and they create more of a liability of being, in essence, an orphan client on the books, as opposed to move with their advisor so that they can continue to provide service and value for the client.
And then one question I know we didn't talk about, Arthur, but that I know is a hot topic in the industry and has been a hot topic for the last 5+ years is succession planning. And a lot of advisors think about it, unfortunately don't implement it. And unfortunately, you as a managing director of Cooper McManus, you've had the unfortune of having advisors that have passed away unexpectedly. And I think it's a topic that's important to cover in that, being part of an OSJ versus being off on an island in a direct report with the broker dealer gives you that added layer of support from a succession planning standpoint, not only for your clients, but your family. Can you speak a little bit about succession planning when being part of an OSJ, when something unexpected comes about and an advisor passes away?
Yeah, I definitely can. One of the main reasons succession planning is important, because if an advisor who's fully licensed passes away, from a legal regulatory standpoint, the surviving family can only receive revenues from that practice for 60 days. And then beyond that, they're not entitled legally to receive any compensation. And so those clients will, once I hear of the advisor's passing, they tend to scatter in the wind and think, oh crap, I have to find somebody else to work with. And having a succession plan, the primary purpose is to make sure that there's a mechanism where the value of your practice can be transferred to the family, with the definition of how to value the practice, and the terms of which that value is going to be transferred onto the family. And then you're able to continue to pay the family members via a purchase agreement, as opposed to receiving commissions or fees from client accounts.
And is that something you as an OSJ help with, Arthur?
One of the things that we do as an OSJ, we offer kind of what I call a placeholder succession plan uh, that is not necessarily the richest plan in the world as far as valuing your practice, but it's something there in case something unexpected happens. And we do have a mechanism in which to pay the family. But at the same time, we encourage the advisors to find a true succession partner that they can work with and that has appropriate valuations, whether it be from a death, a disability, or even retirement. Those are things that I think are key. We've had advisors pass away, unfortunately, quite a bit over the last 30 years. And some of the best scenarios are when we have, multiple advisors in our office work together and create succession plans among themselves. And as a fallback, I become the succession plan, or Cooper McManus becomes the succession plan, absent, anything else.
Thank you for answering that. And last question, I want to be respectful of your time. We've been in an ever consolidating marketplace amongst broker dealers, and advisors either retiring and aging advisor force. Where do you see the trends, the recruiting trends for financial advisors as it pertains to being part of an existing OSJ or enterprise, or going direct? Do you think that's going to change at all with the consolidation that's taking place in the broker dealer marketplace?
Well, again, I think with all the consolidation, you're going to have firms that have 1,000 brokers also be part of a firm that has 10,000 brokers. And what happens is the individual ends up getting lost, in the crowd. And with an OSJ, you're able to, have that advocate, somebody working on your behalf that has some influence, that has the ear of senior management, executive management, in order to, help facilitate things that are important to you. Because without that, benefit of a large OSJ, sometimes getting exceptions made or getting approval for certain things becomes next to impossible. So, in my opinion, that as these consolidations happen, if you still want to maintain some level of influence or having that advocate, you have to be part of the larger organization, whether it be an OSJ, a producer group, or some other mechanism where the sum of the parts is greater than the whole.
Perfect. Arthur, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to talk about a topic that I'm sure is key for many financial advisors, and addressing some of those preconceived notions about joining an existing OSJ. I hope that all of the viewers found this useful and were able to answer many of the questions that you may have had.
Thank you.